My husband went hiking and camping with his female buddy. His female buddy picked mushrooms to make soup, but I stopped him from drinking it. Later, his female buddy died from poisoning. Trembling with fear, he hugged and kissed me, thanking me for saving his life. But he poisoned me at the happiest moment when I was carrying our child. Back then, Sky was already pregnant with my child when she went to pick mushrooms. If it weren't for you stopping me, I would never have let anything happen to her. You and your child will pay with your lives for hers. Clutching my stomach, I collapsed in agony. With regret and unwillingness, I closed my eyes forever. Opening my eyes again, I saw the soup handed to me by his female friend. I won't stop you this time. I had reincarnated back to the day when my husband Knox G and our group went hiking and camping. Darling, just hang in there a little longer, we're almost there. Listening to Knox G's voice, I couldn't help but tremble. And only by feeling the stifling air around me did I gain a real sense of rebirth. I've never been fond of exercise, and hiking is practically the death of me. Knox G enjoys fitness and deep-sea fishing, but hiking and camping are still rare for him. To fit into my husband's circle, I forced myself to tag along. In his previous life, his female friend Sky's son picked mushrooms to make soup, and I stopped him from drinking it, fearing it might be poisonous. After coming down the mountain, he received news that his friends had been poisoned. Sky's son, who had eaten the most, didn't survive despite efforts to save her. He held me tightly, still shaken, and thanked me for persuading him, which had saved his life. From then on, he treated me even better, and the moment I found out I was pregnant, I felt like the happiest person in the world. I couldn't wait to share this news with Knox G, imagining how excited he would be. Returning home and seeing his smiling face as he brought me a bowl of soup, I drank it without a second thought. When the poison took effect that night, I begged him to save me and the child in my womb, but he snarled at me in rage. If it weren't for you stopping me, Sky would never have died. She was carrying my child when she died. It was worth all my effort to get you pregnant. You and your child deserve to pay with your lives for hers. After marriage, he said that women suffer during childbirth and couldn't bear to see me in pain. Speaking with such sincerity, I myself love children, but hearing him say that, I still agreed to be a dink, double income no kids, couple with him. Recently, he suddenly said he wanted a child. I thought he had changed his mind, but who would have guessed he intended to crush my heart? He struck me down at the happiest moment of my life. Thinking of this, I spoke coldly. How far have we climbed now? Seeing how serious I was, Knox G took out a map to check. We're about 5 kilometers away. Glancing at the time, I dismissed the idea of going down the mountain alone. It was too late to turn back now. Knox G finished speaking and reached out as if to take my backpack. Sky's son blocked him with a glare. Oh, so you're feeling sorry for her now? We all climbed up here together, and you only care about your wife, not your buddies. Not that I'm saying your wife isn't cut out for hiking. But why bring her along just to suffer? As soon as he finished, the people around burst into teasing laughter. Bro G is with us. What's there for your wife to worry about? Then they glanced at Sky's son again. Don't treat Sky like a woman, sister-in-law. She's just one of the guys, a real bro to all of us. Sky's son immediately punched that person. Ha, what great buddies they are, already carrying their bro's baby in her arms. In my past life, I was constantly mocked by her veiled sarcasm. Not daring to show any weakness, right now, I can't be bothered with all that. I simply took off my backpack and tossed it into Knox G's arms. He's still my husband for now, so what if I order him around? Anyway, I've made up my mind. Once we get down the mountain, I'll either be widowed or divorced. The people around me stopped talking when they saw I was genuinely angry. Sky's son followed behind, huffing and puffing with anger. In the past, they had only gone fishing by renting boats, and their camping trips were in developed scenic areas. This time, our destination was deep in the remote mountains where there was no signal. I thought they were all experienced and somewhat professional. Who knew they just casually put together a gathering without doing much preparation? I could feel the air getting more and more humid. I walked faster and faster. Others also sensed the changing weather. Is it going to rain? Sky's son remained unfazed. No worries, I brought a raincoat. Let's not wander around. We should find a spot to set up the tent. Everyone else quickly agreed, and Knox G called me over to help. I glanced at the dark, overcast sky and snorted coldly. Are you sure you can set up the tent before it rains? I think I'll find somewhere else to take shelter. With that, I took back my backpack and prepared to keep walking. Renju, Nox G tried to call me back, but Sky Sun held him back. Brother G, it's about to rain. We should hurry and set up the tent first. Sister-in-law is probably mad at me, usually so carefree and bold in front of them. Now he was saying these words with reddened eyes, looking utterly pitiful. Immediately, they couldn't help but feel protective and sympathetic towards him. Sister-in-law, please come with us. Hey, sister-in-law, if you can't help, at least don't make things worse. Nox G's face darkened upon hearing this. With a grim expression, he said unhappily, just leave her be. If words won't persuade her, let experience teach her a lesson. She'll come back once she's drenched. Sky Sun also seemed pleased with their attitude and provocatively raised an eyebrow at me. Once we set up the tent, you'll come begging to us. I'm utterly speechless, just a bunch of amateurs. In my previous life, I listened to them and set up a tent here, but when the heavy rain came, none of them could do it properly. In the end, soaked to the bone. I managed to set up a tent by following the tutorial I learned before going up the mountain. My little tent can't accommodate that many people. They hid in my tent and ordered me to keep setting it up. Later, the tent couldn't withstand the heavy rain and started leaking, and they kept blaming me for the problems with how I set it up. I had no choice but to search for shelter in the pouring rain. After returning, I even developed pneumonia and was hospitalized for a long time. This time I really have to get out of here quickly. Without me around, let's see who you'll blame now. Following my memory, I found the shelter where I took refuge from the rain in my previous life. To call it a shelter is a bit of an overstatement. It's just a very old little hut. Still, it managed to shield us from this sudden downpour. So I stayed here peacefully, waiting for the rain to stop before heading down the mountain. This time, unlike the wretchedness of my previous life, I laid out my sleeping bag and took out water and food to replenish my energy. Soon, a bolt of lightning split the sky, followed by rolling thunder and a downpour of rain. I stretched lazily and sighed. This kind of weather was perfect for sleep. I drifted off into a drowsy slumber. I was quickly awakened again by the noise outside the door. I craned my neck to look outside. I could barely suppress the smile at the corner of my mouth. Isn't that my nearly dead husband and his entourage, drenched to the point where even their own mothers wouldn't recognize them? Their raincoats were now tattered and torn, with Nox G even using a sleeping bag to shield both himself and Sky Sun from the rain. The group pushed open the door and stumbled in, looking utterly disheveled, completely unaware of my presence in the corner. Once inside, they immediately busied themselves with unpacking, while Nox G thoughtfully pulled out a towel to dry Sky Sun's hair. Sky Sun scolded a friend beside her for being slow and wasting time. The others then complained that she hadn't brought enough supplies. As this small group bickered among themselves, they finally noticed me occupying the best spot. Sky Sun immediately pointed at me angrily. Renju, how could you? You found shelter from the rain but didn't call us. While we were worried sick about you, did you come looking for me? Did you even try? I turned my gaze back to Nox G. What about you? Did you look for me? Aren't we married now? Aren't you worried I might get lost alone? The two of them were instantly left speechless. Seeing them at a loss, the others stepped in to mediate. We were just about to set up the tent and come look for you. Sis, don't be angry. The lesson from my past life is still fresh in my mind. If you tolerate for a moment, others will bully you for a lifetime. Watching this group shift the conflict onto me, I raised my eyebrows sarcastically. So, have you set up your tents yet? Weren't you all waiting for me to come begging to you? Nox G put down his things unhappily. Sky is right, you're just being petty. Can't you take a joke? Sky Sun crossed her arms. This house isn't yours either. We found it together. Why the passive-aggressive attitude? The others glared at me with hostility. By now, the sky had completely darkened, and the temperature difference between day and night in the mountains was significant. The few of them were shivering, their clothes soaked and dripping. Some had already started changing into spare clothes they had brought, doing so in the corners, perhaps in their haste to flee. Sky Sun had been pulled along by Nox G without her backpack, which must have been left behind at the campsite. Her face was wet with rain, and her long hair was still dripping. Staggering unsteadily, She truly looked pitiful. A flicker of compassion flashed in Nox G's eyes as he glanced at me curled up in the sleeping bag. Lowering his voice, he said, "You have clothes in your bag, right? Lend them and the sleeping bag to Sky." I ignored their expectant looks of approval, astonished by their audacity. "What about me?" Nox G's gaze wandered. "You can sleep with me. What a nerve. Didn't you use your sleeping bag to shield Sky's sun from the rain?" "I can't be bothered to argue with you. I didn't bring extra clothes, and I won't lend out my sleeping bag." The group had been exhausted since early morning and no longer had the energy to banter with me. Seeing my firm stance, they tried squeezing into the remaining sleeping bags, leaving one last one, which Nox G gave to Sky Sun. Then he lent her his own clothes as well. He took off his jacket. Fortunately, the clothes underneath weren't too wet. Angry, he ignored me and wrapped himself in a blanket to sleep, perfectly suited to my wishes. Early the next morning, we prepared to descend the mountain. Unlike my refreshed and invigorated state, a few of them had already fallen ill after getting caught in the rain. Nox G's voice was also somewhat hoarse. This prompted Sky Sun to fuss over him with great concern, as if deliberately trying to provoke me. His responses to Sky Sun were much more enthusiastic than usual. I no longer concealed the disdain in my eyes. After getting up early in the morning, everyone was starving. The ingredients we prepared weren't enough, and most of the food was in Sky Sun's backpack. Since her backpack wasn't brought over, we had to make do with what we had. Fortunately, the stove and small pot were brought along. Sky Sun patted her chest and promised she could get them all something to eat. Luckily, I still have 2 pieces of compressed biscuits. I wouldn't dare eat anything she cooked. Before long, Sky Sun proudly called out to everyone, "Alright, come and try my cooking." I glanced at the soup she handed to Nox G. I sneered inwardly, "Isn't this the poisonous mushroom soup from my past life?" I watched as Nox G took the soup, with a slight smile. He asked dotingly, "Where did you pick these mushrooms?" Sky Sun sat close to him and served herself a bowl as well. "I found it in the woods nearby." "What, are you scared?" Seeing everyone hesitate to speak, she burst into laughter. "Don't worry, I used to go mushroom picking before. The brightly colored ones that change color when cut are poisonous. But this is just an ordinary mushroom." After dispelling everyone's doubts, she began serving each person a bowl of mushroom soup. "There's still some left in the pot now," and I quickly said I'd already eaten. Seeing that I knew my place, she didn't snap at me and instead served herself and Nox G another bowl. "Brother G, drink more hot soup to recover faster from your cold." Noticing this, he made a veiled remark, "The soup is delicious. Truly, time reveals a person's heart. Only in times of trouble can you see if someone genuinely cares for you." Hearing this, Sky Sun's eyes instantly rippled with emotion, and the corners of her mouth couldn't help but curl upward. Several people looked at the two of them with ambiguous expressions. Meanwhile, I just watched as she and Nox G sipped the mushroom soup from their bowls. "TSK TSK TSK, if it's good, drink more. Once we're all ready, we'll prepare to head down the mountain." The descent was not easy, especially after the heavy rain had left the path muddy and treacherous. With some trees fallen and blocking the way, faced with this situation, disagreements arose among the group. The original route was steeper but would take less time. The alternative path was flatter but would double the distance. In my previous life, apart from me being drenched the most and falling seriously ill, almost everyone else could grit their teeth and endure, so they all chose the relatively safe and flat path. This time, Sky Sun, exhausted from a long day yesterday, just wanted to get down the mountain early, thinking the rain had stopped and nothing major would happen. She insisted on taking the same route back with Nox G. "Then you two go back the same way, I'll take another path by myself." Nox G thought I was being stubborn. "Renju, now is not the time for your tantrums. Can't you be more sensible? That path is so steep, who knows what's there. I'm definitely not taking that one." One of the guys chimed in after hearing me say that. "Bro G, Zhongzhen, and I will stick with sister-in-law. We'll meet up at Broken Stone Cliff later." Broken Stone Cliff is where the two paths converge, and from there only one trail leads down the mountain. Our journey went quite smoothly this time. Probably because I wasn't dragging the team down with post-illness weakness, it actually arrived earlier than in the previous life. When we arrived, we didn't see Nox G and the others. It seems they really ran into trouble. I had planned to go straight down, But these two insisted on waiting for them, and honestly, I was running out of energy. I had no choice but to sit down and rest. Jongjin suddenly stood up and spoke with alertness. Did you guys hear something? We quickly listened carefully. There really was the sound of crying coming from nearby. Upon closer listening, we confirmed it was coming from the downhill path Nox G had chosen. We followed the sound and walked a distance before seeing any figures. Sky Sun was sitting on the ground, wailing loudly. The others were frantically digging in the dirt nearby. Upon closer inspection, we realized Nox G was buried beneath the soil. It turned out they had encountered numerous falling rocks halfway, leaving them both startled and frightened. The others wanted several times to turn back and take the route we had chosen, but Sky Sun and Nox G persuaded them to continue, reasoning that they were already halfway there and might find nothing ahead. Dragging their sick bodies back and forth wouldn't have been worth the effort, and so, stumbling along, they were nearly at Broken Stone Cliff when a sudden small-scale landslide occurred. Nox G pushed Sky Sun away but got buried in the dirt himself. Fortunately, the upper half of his body wasn't buried too deep. A few people quickly dug around and saw most of his body was still exposed. So they tried to pull him out. However, as soon as they pulled, he cried out in pain. His foot was firmly trapped by several large rocks in a sunken depression. Unable to move, I really couldn't be too indifferent. So I stepped forward several times to try and pull him out. All I got in return was his agonized wails. Just as I was about to step forward again, I was finally stopped. Nox G gasped and asked, "What about Sky? Is Sky okay?" Only then did we notice the various scrapes and bruises on Sky Sun's body. One ankle was already swollen and deformed, looking particularly horrifying. Jongjin couldn't bear it any longer. "Don't worry about others right now. This place is too dangerous. It could collapse at any moment. I feel like I have a fever and don't have the strength to go down the mountain now. Those who still have some energy left should go down first to call for help." His proposal received everyone's support. But when it came down to it, including me, only 3 people could continue on. Sky Sun, seeing that we were about to leave, grabbed someone's arm, tears streaming down her face like pear blossoms in the rain. "I don't want to stay in this godforsaken place. Take me with you." The man clearly looked troubled. "I don't want to waste time." Took a deep breath. "Sky Sun, take a look at your own feet. Can you even walk properly? By the time you make it down the mountain, your feet will be ruined." The others also started to persuade her. Seeing everyone's reaction and glancing at the dark clouds gathering in the sky, Sky Sun suddenly exploded. "I already said I don't want to stay in this godforsaken place. Can't you understand human language? I can't walk. Can't you 3 carry me down? It's about to pour again, and I'm covered in wounds. How can I get soaked in the rain? I must have had the worst luck in 8 lifetimes, ending up with you useless lot on this mountain and getting my leg injured." This outburst completely shattered the image everyone had of her. Even Nox G, lying face down in the dirt pile, furrowed his brow. "I can't carry you. If you want to go down the mountain, you'll have to do it yourself." The remaining 2, afraid she might cling to them, left without even grabbing their backpacks. By the time we reached a spot with signal, an hour had already passed. Exhausted and panting, we collapsed on the ground, unwilling to take another step as we waited for rescue. When the rescue team arrived, one group led us down the mountain while another went up to save the remaining people. We sat in the rescue vehicle at the foot of the mountain, where medical staff checked us and confirmed we were unharmed. The others were brought down one after another. There was still no sign of Sky Sun and Nox G. Jongjin told us what had happened. It turned out that after we left, Sky Sun had an emotional breakdown. Nox G tried to comfort her, but she said many hurtful things, and the 2 of them almost had a falling out. When the rescue team arrived, they carried Sky Sun down the mountain, after resting and regaining some strength. Jongjin and the others walked down on their own and arrived a bit earlier. "Sister-in-law, don't overthink it. From what I can see, those 2 have had a serious fallout. Your brother G needs to focus on living a good life." I snorted coldly. "You call me sister-in-law so eagerly when you need something. But don't think I don't know you never really took me seriously. I've seen through it now. Our family affairs are none of your business." Back then, I was completely smitten by Nox G's face and abs. After marriage, he was always hanging out with his bros. I thought he was just loyal to his friends, but turns out one of those bros was actually a woman. My parents are quite traditional, constantly drilling into me that whole virtuous wife and good mother ideology, so much so that I've always felt insecure around him. Now, upon reflection, my family background is far better than his, and at a young age. I've already worked my way up to a managerial position at the company. What do I have to feel inferior about? Given his disdain, even though I've helped his so-called friends a lot over the years, I still haven't been accepted by them. Thinking about it, I'm truly ridiculous for wasting my time on these worthless people. Wait until the two of them were brought down the mountain. Knox G's legs were covered in bright red wounds mixed with sand and mud. As a family member, I followed them to the hospital. Those few people originally thought that once they reached the hospital and waited for treatment, everything would be fine. Little did they know that the mushroom soup they drank had begun to take effect. One by one, they started vomiting uncontrollably. Diagnosed with mushroom poisoning, they were fine after having their stomachs pumped in the emergency room. Sky Sun and Knox G, who drank the most, are now experiencing abdominal pain, and their condition is more critical, because almost no one here picks mushrooms to eat. The hospital is not very skilled in treating such cases. The doctor spoke with difficulty. Both patients are in critical condition now, but we only have one dose of antidote left. We should give it to the man first since his condition is more severe, and the woman can wait until more medicine is delivered. His words left everyone in silence. On the way to the hospital, it was clear that the two of them were indeed ignoring each other. Just as Zhongjun had said, I glanced at Sky Sun. She was sobbing softly, saying she was in a lot of pain. Truly a pitiful sight. My eyes flickered. Honey, look, Sky seems to be in bad shape. What should we do? Do doctors really have to prioritize treatment for the more severe cases first? The medical staff explained while treating her. This is the principle. Don't be afraid, the medicine will arrive soon, and we'll handle the initial treatment as well. A cry of pain came from Sky Sun's side as the doctor was applying a cast to her foot. When her fine sweat had subsided a little, she raised her eyes to look at Knox G. Tears welled up in her eyes, on the verge of falling. She must have been genuinely terrified. Brother G, I was just scared on the mountain and ended up saying a lot of things I didn't mean. Please don't take it to heart. Could you let me have that medicine first? The doctor said more will be available soon. Knox G looked at me with a troubled expression. I don't have a problem with it, but I am Renju's husband after all. She probably wouldn't agree. They really are such good brothers, always pushing things onto me. I won't be the bad guy here, honey. I noticed Sky isn't in good health either. She was planning to go to the hospital for a checkup just the other day. Remember, maybe we should let her have it. Don't be so petty. Whenever I rightfully stand up for my own interests, he calls me petty. Now the boomerang has come back to hit him instead. I'd love to see just how magnanimous he can be. Knox G was left speechless by my words, his face turning bright red, whether from pain or anger, who could tell? The doctor, hearing this, didn't waste any time and immediately pulled up Sky Sun's test results on the computer. The doctor walked over to Sky Sun with a complicated expression and whispered a few words to her. After hearing them, she froze for a moment before replying to the doctor in a low voice. The emergency room was too noisy, and no one could make out their conversation. Only the corner of my mouth lifted slightly. They must have found out. At this moment, my in-laws also rushed over, angrily scolding me for not taking good care of their son and causing Knox G to end up in such a state. Brother G, we have a child now. Can I use that medicine first? Sky Sun's words exploded like a thunderclap. The in-laws were incredulous. They couldn't accept that their outstanding son had an affair and fathered a child out of wedlock. Who do you think you are, casually slandering my son? Who knows whose child it is when you're so shameless? Knox G, who had been reluctant just moments ago, now looked as if he was ready to sacrifice himself heroically. Don't make things difficult for Sky. Give the medicine to Sky first. Saving this child is what matters now. The two of them held hands, gazing at each other with tear-filled eyes. It was almost comical. The doctor had already planned to administer the medicine to Sky Sun first upon learning of her pregnancy. The two, unaware of the truth, still pulled this stunt. Seeing her son admit to the matter, what else could my mother-in-law say? She only blamed me harshly. Don't blame Knox. It's your own fault for not being able to conceive after being married for so long. In my past life, Knox G watched as his parents pressured me to have children, choosing to stay out of it. On the few occasions I retorted, he even scolded me for being too blunt and making them lose face. This time I really want to see how this illegitimate child of his will make the old couple, who care so much about face, handle the shame. The doctor interrupted the mother-in-law's scolding. We're ready now. He needs emergency surgery. After signing a pile of forms, the medicine was delivered just as he was being taken to the operating room, perfectly timed for use. The surgery took a long time before it was finally completed. After being moved to the ward, the doctor came to inform us of the situation. His lower body had been crushed for too long, and they would do their best to save his legs. However, his lower body was severely damaged, and even if he recovers, it might not function properly. Upon hearing this, my in-laws immediately collapsed to the ground. Meanwhile, I was overjoyed inside. Though he didn't die, he'd become a eunuch. After a long moment of stunned silence, my father-in-law nudged my mother-in-law and then said to me with difficulty, "Ren, don't worry, Knox can still be cured in the future. For now, let's just appease Sky Sun. Once she gives birth, we'll take the child and raise it for you." I curled my lips slightly and replied calmly, "I won't raise someone else's child. Did you really think I could continue living with this trash?" Knox G hoarsely cursed in anger, "You heartless, ungrateful bastard. Dream on if you think you can dump me and get a divorce." I remained utterly unfazed by his verbal threats. "If you don't agree, I'll expose your affair and your inadequacy. What will your classmates and colleagues think when they find out? Surely you don't want to lose your job too." Knox G's eyes burned crimson as he glared at me with pure venom. He knew I was capable of doing exactly that. He had always valued his reputation, and his workplace placed great emphasis on personal integrity. In his previous life, even though he had an affair with Sky Sun, he didn't dare to mention divorce to me. It wasn't until after Sky Sun's death that he discovered she had been pregnant, and then he shifted all the blame onto me, even attempting to poison me with toxic mushroom soup. Knox G, who had thought he would die, narrowly escaped death. I found the whole situation distressing. Since we had already torn off all pretenses, I saw no reason to stay any longer. After returning, I immediately contacted a lawyer to gather evidence. My parents were furious when they found out about the whole ordeal. Even the most conservative stance is based on the premise of mutual loyalty. Now that he has done something so shameless, they strongly support my decision to divorce. The divorce went more smoothly than I expected, and all the assets were awarded to me, perhaps because they feared I would make a public scandal, or maybe because they were certain the child in Sky Sun's womb was safe. And the two of them were desperate for legitimacy. In any case, a month later, I was single again. I really don't want to sacrifice my own future just to seek revenge on those two bastards. Now I just want to live my life well. Those two still have a pile of messy issues waiting for them. They'll bring about their own destruction sooner or later. I only heard news about them again when my mom told me. At the dinner table, my mom casually brought it up. "Do you know what happened to Knox G?" I stopped my chopsticks and shook my head. My mom gloated. "He beat Sky Sun until she miscarried." My dad widened his eyes. "Weren't they about to get married? What's with this mess?" My mom immediately put down her bowl, her eyes gleaming with excitement. It turns out the child Sky Sun was carrying wasn't his at all. In a fit of rage and humiliation, he lashed out, got arrested, and when the news reached the workplace, everyone finally realized his job was truly beyond saving now. After dinner, I asked a few close friends for more details. After Knox G and I got divorced, Mrs. G showered Sky Sun with attentiveness, buying her all sorts of nutritional supplements for the pregnancy. She saw how desperate Mrs. G was and demanded a large sum of money. Knowing the child in her womb was now the G family's only heir, even if she asked for the stars in the sky, the elderly couple of the G family would have to find a way to get them for her. But Mrs. G repeatedly pressuring her to marry angered her. How could she possibly agree to marry a useless man? When pushed to the limit, she openly admitted in front of them that the child was not Knox G's at all. The G family couldn't believe it and took Sky Sun for a non-invasive paternity test. The results confirmed the child wasn't his. He had endured such pain to save Sky Sun, only to be played for a fool. How could he possibly swallow this anger, after being captured? He fainted due to his body not having fully recovered, currently receiving treatment at the hospital. After work that day, I received a call from an unfamiliar number. It was the police. The person on the other end sounded urgent. Is this Miss Ren Ju? We need your immediate assistance at the city hospital. I rushed to the hospital and got the full picture of the situation. After waking up in the hospital, Nox G took advantage of the dinner hour to sneak into Sky Sun's ward, held her at knife point, and forced her to the rooftop. The incident was discovered, and the police were called. His demand to the police was to see me one last time. That's how I ended up being escorted by the police to the rooftop. Before going up, they repeatedly assured me of my safety. I didn't dare to approach. And Nox G, fearing an ambush, refused to come closer either. We'll just keep holding on here. I was the first to break the silence. Don't act impulsively. Don't you love her dearly? As if I'd hit a nerve, he roared. What do you know? This bitch actually lied to me. Nox G's knife had already cut through the skin on her neck, leaving a trail of blood. Sky Sun's teeth were chattering uncontrollably, and a damp stain slowly spread across the hem of his pants. Trembling, he pleaded for mercy. It's all my fault. Please spare me. I promise I'll marry you. Nox G sneered. Didn't you say I was just your dog? How could you marry me? I got injured saving you. And you dared to betray me. Then, with a deranged grin, he turned to me and snarled. So you're back too? Huh, why didn't you stop me? You let me become a cripple. Both of you deserve to die. My heart skipped a beat. Since you've remembered, how can you blame me? Did I not try to stop you back then? How did you treat me? You're here blaming this and that. But wasn't it always your own choice? Upon hearing my words, he went berserk like an unleashed mad dog, shoving Sky Sun to the ground and brandishing a fruit knife as he lunged toward me. Terrified, I stumbled backward, only to hear a loud bang. Nox G fell to his knees, clutching his gunshot wound and moaning in pain. Two men quickly rushed forward and pinned him to the ground. Seeing this, Sky Sun no longer showed the fear from earlier and sneered. I wasn't wrong to call you a dog. You were always my lapdog, and now you're a castrated one, still dreaming of marrying me. What a joke. Upon hearing this, Nox G's eyes nearly spat flames. Suddenly breaking free with all his might, he charged towards Sky Sun, holding her. They tumbled off the rooftop of a dozen floors, plummeting downward. Although an air cushion had been laid out below, Nox G hit the edge of the cushion and bounced onto the ground. Sky Sun landed on the cushion and was not in any life-threatening danger. After all this commotion, Nox G was sent back to the operating room. His parents actually had the audacity to come to my door. Ren, Nox still has feelings for you. He knows he was wrong now and has been punished. He won't mess around anymore. A look of disdain flashed in my eyes. Of course he wouldn't mess around. He's completely incapable now. They only knew that Nox G had kidnapped Sky Sun and was shouting to see me. Without knowing the details, they thought Nox G wanted to remarry me. I waved my hand, ready to close the door, but they pushed against it. How about this? We'll transfer the house back home to you as well. Now you have nothing left to say, right? Tomorrow we'll go remarry. As if they were granting me some immense favor. My eyes turned icy cold. Even if Nox G survives, he'll be rotting in prison. How dare the two of you have the audacity to come here and say such things to me? Uncle looked displeased. Who would dare take a divorced woman like you? You've been married for so long without conceiving a child. Who knows if there's something wrong with you? We've already thought it through. Once you remarry Nox, we'll adopt a child for you to raise back home. When Nox gets out, your family will still be whole. Wow, what a grand promise. What audacity. What dream are you living in? Have you lost your minds? Instead of meddling in my life, you should worry more about your own son. By the time he gets out, he'll be in his 70s or 80s. No job, no pension. How on earth will he survive? My uncle's eyes were red with anger because of me. So isn't that why I'm here now? A day as husband and wife brings 100 days of kindness. You can't just watch me die without helping, without hesitation. My aunt spoke the words that were in her heart. Thinking I'm easy to bully, they came to me as a last resort. I'm not going to indulge them. If you're worried about Nox G having no one to take care of him, why don't you just have a second child yourselves? I called the neighborhood security to drag them away, warning that if these two were seen again, the police would be called immediately. This time, Knox G wasn't so lucky. He suffered nerve damage, leaving him mute and partially paralyzed, a fate worse than death for him. Granted medical parole and taken home for care, Sky's son was psychologically traumatized by this incident, becoming increasingly paranoid. I heard her family took her back to their hometown. The next news about Knox G came from a short video clip I stumbled upon. Perhaps my words last time provoked his parents. She actually went ahead and had a second child, though it wasn't the mother herself who gave birth. Instead, the father found a younger woman outside to have the child for him. That woman then marched into their home with the baby, boldly declaring she would make the father divorce and be with her. The whole mess turned into a public scandal, even drawing media attention. The image-conscious Mrs. G, in order to protect her own interests, also vented her anger on Doeen, denouncing the mistress and her husband for their despicable actions. This garnered a wave of supporters who sympathized with her. However, after Knox G's past behavior was exposed, some people commented that the upper beam is not straight, and the lower beam is crooked, meaning the parent's bad behavior influences the child. I clicked into the comments section of her account, where the top comments were filled with mockery and sarcasm, while further down there were some words of support and comfort. She was originally the victim in this matter, but back when I was in the same situation as her, she didn't blame her own son for his mistakes. Instead, she placed all the blame on me, an innocent party. Back when she claimed Knox G's infidelity was because I wasn't good enough, she probably never imagined she'd face the same fate one day. Just as I boarded the high-speed train with my parents for our vacation down south, my phone buzzed with a notification about the follow-up messages. I opened my phone. It turned out that Uncle G was earnestly saying that everything he did was for Knox G's sake, as he is now bedridden with paralysis. What will happen to him after the old couple passes away? They raised this child so that in the future, he could take care of Knox G. G's mother ultimately agreed to divorce but not to leave the home. She served everyone in the household like a maid. This was a harsh slap in the face to G's mother's online supporters from back then. People widely condemned her in speech and writing, but her forbearance didn't bring her better days. Not long after, that woman started urging G's uncle to transfer the house to her. One late night after getting the house, she abandoned the child. She took all their money and ran. By the time they realized it, she was long gone. Now they have to raise a child while also taking care of Knox G, that paralyzed man. Truly, their hearts are willing but their strength is insufficient. To make matters worse, that woman mortgaged their house to loan sharks, with the house now seized. The family had no choice but to slink back to their hometown in disgrace. My mom patted me on the shoulder, signaling me to look ahead. Two elderly people, their bodies hunched over, one holding a child, the other pushing a wheelchair, on the uphill slope. A slight mispush caused the emaciated person in the wheelchair to fall to the ground. This quickly drew a crowd of onlookers. I squinted to get a closer look. Isn't this my ex-husband's family? There's not a trace left of the handsome, upright man he once was, crouching on the ground, trying to bury his head to escape the gazes of those around him. Yet he couldn't even manage that simple action. He could only whimper and writhe on the ground. Kind-hearted bystanders couldn't bear to watch and quickly stepped forward to help him up. As they dragged him to his feet, the skin on his back was exposed. His back was already covered with bedsores, a truly horrifying sight. I sighed deeply in my heart. So be it. Just live this half-dead existence. I arrived in the South with my parents and had a happy time for a while. Only after being reborn and returning did I truly let go and find peace. My mom sipped coconut juice and sighed about life. From now on, your dad and I won't interfere with your decisions anymore. We just hope you know that no matter what choices you make or what outcomes they bring, we'll always have your back. Wow, why are you being so sentimental? My dad patted my head. We just didn't want you to be affected by all this messy stuff. I smiled and hugged them. No way, this time I won't let myself be trapped by people who don't love me.